Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of the Simplify Your Life Summit. My name is Justin Crosscare, and I'm your host, and I am joined by Lindsey Day. Lindsey, thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it, and I'm so excited for the listeners and viewers to not only hear your story, but also the expertise that you have behind it, because you literally have figured out everything that you're doing now with coaching and also your nutrition through implementing it in your own life. So I'm really excited, and I would love for you just to kind of open up and share a little bit more about yourself and kind of how you got to where you are now. I know you're meteorologist, you're also a personal trainer, you're also a nutritional coach. So you are all over the place, and I can't wait to hear how you simplify your life as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I definitely tire myself out. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Justin, for having me on this. I'm super excited to be here and just share my journey and hopefully give people out there some nuggets that they can walk away with and implement into their life to simplify it, as you say. So yeah, like you said, I'm very busy. Meteorology is what I went to school for. And I thought I was going to do that for the rest of my life, or at least until I was so old and wrinkled that they kicked me off TV. But turns out my life took a different path. And so, like you mentioned, I am now fully immersed into fitness. It kind of started though because when I was a college freshman, I actually was very unhealthy. I was the opposite of health. I had a horrible diet. I basically sustained myself on cookies and milk. My friends called me Cookie Monster because that's basically all I ate. And then a professor one day made a comment to the class. So Florida State, where I went to school, was mainly a research-based school. So you have broadcast meteorology and then you have research-based. And so I knew I wanted to go into broadcast, but I was at Florida State. And so he made a comment like, oh, by the way, if you're going into broadcast, it would benefit you to be in shape and kind of part. And I was like, ooh, I'm good with my schooling, but yeah, I don't really look the part of a broadcast meteorologist. I should probably change that if I want to go far in my career. So I was like, well, let me start working out and eat some protein and vegetables and see where this thing takes me. And so that's actually what started my fitness journey. And it's so ironic. So now I still do meteorology, but I just fell in love with health and fitness. And another twist to the story is when I got into fitness, I was like, oh, I'm going to start competing because I had some friends that were into that and they encouraged me to give it a shot. And so I was like, okay. So turns out competing is, I shouldn't say it's not healthy, but I'm going to say it's not healthy. For everyone has their different journey. And if, it's something that's on your bucket list to do, like, hey, I want to give competing a shot. Awesome. Totally think that's awesome. However, if you are planning to compete at a national level, you will have to do some unhealthy measures if you want to have somewhat of a competitive edge. So although I never took steroids, the things that I did ended up just destroying my health. So I always say, it got me a trophy, but it cost me my health. And in hindsight, I wouldn't change what I did because it taught me so much. And I believe that experience of nursing myself back to health using food as medicine was the most powerful experience that I could have ever had in my life because it taught me so much. And so now I'm able to take what I learned and then apply it to my clients, and I can help so many more people now because I went through that. So right now my nutritional knowledge is self-taught. I'm a certified personal trainer, but because I like to dot all my I's and cross all my T's, I am in the process of going to nutrition school. So just submitted the application. That should be starting either the summer or the fall semester, depending.
Exciting.
Yeah, that's where my life is at right now, just so people can kind of get a feel for where I come from.
I love it. And it's so funny how we fall into our passions, especially when it's doing something that we think is, and I'm sure it did greatly benefit you, not only for learning about health, but also your mindset too, realizing like, wow, this is possible to make my body look like this. I have several friends that have done that, and it definitely is still working for them, as they're in shape and they have their body, but they also realized what they're missing nutritionally. So one question I have for you, Something I've done is all self-taught too. I'm almost halfway done with my nutritional therapist degree right now. And what I've really been doing is testing everything on myself, like vegan, vegetarian, paleo, all these different things. And the question for you, is there like one diet that someone should pick? Or when it comes to all these different fads that are going on, keto is huge right now. There's so much information out there. How do we simplify that and make it a little bit easier for ourselves?
Exactly. And so I know everyone always says there's no one size fits all, but it really is true. It really is. So after working with hundreds of clients, like you can see what you have one client do may work wonderfully for them, but you give it to the next person and it doesn't work for them at all, the level of stress that we have. But to kind of like answer your question, because I've tried several of the fads as well to see how they worked, and not only tried them but actually done some legit research on them and talked with various doctors and read books and I mean you name it. And so what I think it all boils down to is I think there are some things that we can just agree are good for us.
Mm,
Eat real food. I mean, sometimes it's the simplest things and we try to overcomplicate things so much. But if you eat real food, and this is where I think the paleo diet does it right. Now, I'm not saying paleo is the best way, but I think the good aspects of the paleo diet is that you're eating micronutrient dense foods. You could also argue that's a good thing about a vegan or vegetarian diet, that you're eating lots of vegetables and fruits in theory. Although I do know some vegans that will eat like, I don't know, like the vegan cookies and
yep.
vegan desserts, and they try to live off of that and then they wonder why it's not working. Well, the point of these, vegan diets, paleo diets, I think is to eat micronutrient dense foods. It's just amazing when you learn about all the different roles that one little vitamin plays in your body, like how essential B vitamins are to energy, vitamin C for glutathione production, for antioxidants, and so on and so forth. I mean, once you really start learning how all the different micronutrients and how magnesium is essential for like over 200 bodily processes, including digestion and sleep. Once you start learning the essential role that these vitamins and minerals play, it's like, wow, I need to get this in my body. So I'm going to eat my fruits and my veggies. And even, some meats have a good amount of micronutrients in them. So just to kind of like sum this all up, I really think that just to simplify things, if you eat real food, and you also have to realize that different foods offer different benefits. Different colored foods offer different benefits. So getting a variety of colors in your diet, and I'm not talking about like colorful M&Ms, right? I'm talking about like apples, oranges, broccoli, maybe eggplant, tomatoes, peppers, all the colors of the rainbow, getting those into your diet and eating real food. I think you can't go wrong there. Also, one more thing about, keeping it all balanced is protein, carbohydrate, and fat are three macronutrients. They each have a role in the body. They each offer a different benefit. And so, fats are essential for hormonal production. They're essential for our brain health. Carbohydrates are very key for weightlifting performance. They're key to really optimize certain hormones that help with fat building. So for people that are like keto to infinity and beyond, I do keto from time to time, but I don't do it long term because carbohydrates have so many of our micronutrients. And so really restricting our diet too much can end up leading to problems in the long run. And then protein is, for anyone that wants to build muscle and burn fat, you got to get your protein. I'm sorry to say, but you
Protein.
yeah, you got to. So
I love it. Perfect. And that is so simple, right? Eating real food.
Yeah.
Now it's almost difficult because you're like, what is that? So I would love for you to elaborate. What is real food?
Would you like to go to my fridge? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, right. That would be awesome.
So I'll tell you what I have in my fridge right now. I have, I do need to go food shopping tomorrow, but I still have some good stuff in there. I have cauliflower, I have Brussels sprouts, I have broccoli, I have chicken, and I do try to get the best quality I can find when it comes to chicken. So I get mine off of Butcher Box. But the more I look into it, I kind of wish I had my own farm so I can actually raise my own chickens. So anyway, I eat chicken, good quality. I eat eggs. I eat lots of sweet potatoes. I eat quinoa. Bananas are a great pre and post workout carb because they're one of the only fruits that have a decent amount of glucose in them. What else do I eat? Oh, olive oil. Yes, olive oil. Salmon. I'm getting hungry.
Right. So I love that. It's all food that you don't typically buy in the box, right? It's not in the middle of the store. It's around the outsides of the store, which is something that I know for myself, I've heard over and over again. So I want you to put yourself into, maybe, I don't know if you do this with your clients, but I don't know anything about my health and I'm going to the grocery store. I just watched Lindsey Day just give me so many nuggets on what to do with my health. What are some simple things I can do while I'm going through the grocery store other than looking for real food too? But what are some other simple things I could do when I'm looking at, maybe different other foods that are in packaging?
Okay, so maybe if you are going to get something with a package, what are some maybe snack type foods that might be good options for when you're in a pinch?
Yeah, when I'm in a pinch or just certain things that are good to look on the back, maybe, nutritionally. If I'm
Yeah,
looking on the back, there's a
yeah.
couple key things that I use in my daily life, and I'd love to hear if those are the same with you.
I kind of know what you use. This just reminded me of something. Like, so many people still get caught up on the fact that just because you're shopping at Whole Foods and it says organic doesn't mean it's healthy, right?
Yep.
I have clients that are like, "Oh, I ate cookies, but they were organic from Whole Foods." I'm like, how many grams of sugar did it have in it? And what kind of oils? So one thing that I look for when I am buying anything, that's in a package is I will look at the oils. That's one of the main things I focus on. And I virtually never buy anything that has like a canola or a vegetable oil on the label. Not to say I'm going to die if I have it, right? Like I won't freak out if one time I have it, but if I have the option, I'm not going to put that in my body because that's very inflammatory. So if something does contain oil in it, preferably it would contain olive oil, avocado, or coconut oil, as opposed to not the vegetable or canola oils. So I have some snacky foods that I actually really like. So there's a brand called Go Raw, and they make sea salt and vinegar chips. I really like those.
Mm-hmm.
I eat kale chips sometimes, and what else do I? Man, I don't eat a whole lot of packaged food. I feel like when I go to the grocery store, if I'm hungry, I will get this kombucha drink that doesn't have anything else really in it. There's only, I want to say like 6 grams of sugar in the one that I get. So it's lower in sugar. And I think, sugar there's a big misconception, I think, around sugar these days. Like we went from thinking, a decade ago that we need to do low fat this, low fat that. And so we ate lots of sugar, lots of carbs, and no fat. And now we went from that extreme to, all sugar is bad. Don't eat a gram of sugar a day, and let's eat all fat and do keto. So we go from one extreme to the other, when in reality, it's probably somewhere in the middle. So I'm kind of getting off on a tangent, but I honestly
love it.
My favorite thing to do is stir fry vegetables because, when someone is first getting into this whole health thing, because you mentioned, okay, I'm new, this is something I think is key for people to know. I'm not expecting you to chomp on raw broccoli stalks and raw celery. That's gross. Like, I mean, some people like that. I'm like, okay, more power to you. I don't like that. I like sauteing mine lightly. I don't like blast the heat because that can really kill the nutrition if you zap it all with tons of heat. But I like sauteing in coconut oil or avocado oil because it can handle higher heats, and then drizzling some olive oil on things because olive oil can't handle as high of heats. But I love stir frying vegetables. Like, I'll tell you what, if you think you don't like vegetables, put like a tablespoon of coconut oil in a pan, take one of those steam in the bag, organic broccoli things, toss it in a pan, toss some onions in there, some garlic, and your other favorite vegetable, and whip it up. And I'll tell you what, it tastes delicious. Throw a little salt and garlic on there too. Don't be afraid to, throw some seasonings on. So that's something that I think is really important for the newcomer to know, is we need to find ways to make your healthy food taste good.
Yeah. So I have a really good friend that, she has some different issues with her gut, right? And she was on the opposite extreme of where I am, as far as, eating whatever she really felt like, a lot of sugars and, Reese's Pieces and all the different things that are out there, and Cheerios for breakfast. A lot of people think that Cheerios is something that's healthy, but when you really look at like what it's made out of and all of that, like that could be a whole nother topic as well. And when I went to, show her the options of what else is available, it was tough for her, like saying, I'm going to give that up. But all of a sudden I started making this for her. This is my girlfriend. Started making this for her. And what she realized is like kombucha is something that she was drinking Sprite because it helped with her upset stomach. And I said, let's try kombucha, low in sugar, that's not high fructose corn syrup. And she loves it now. And, raw chocolate versus milk chocolate, and these different little simple things that we can do. It actually tastes phenomenal, and your taste buds will actually start to enjoy it too. And so will your body. If there's anything, go for it.
What are your things? Because you're like, I have my things. What are yours? I'm curious.
So I'm very conscious of sugar. That is something I'm working on because, when I lived with my mother, we didn't have like our electricity would go out, water would go out. So we didn't have a lot of good food. So I remember when I was younger, and my mom wasn't really there too much, I would literally take a scoop of sugar and eat it. I'd eat sugar cubes. I would eat brown sugar. I put powdered sugar on my cereal. Like I was a sugarholic. So, and I know I've paid for that with my, I've been repairing my gut. So I'm really looking at keeping that low. I'm good natural sugars. I love dates.
Right.
I stay away from white sugar and I use monk fruit instead. It's a great alternative. I love avocado oil. Costco has it too. It's fantastic. I always look for a darker bottle, right? That's in glass preferably. And then a lot like you, very balanced with real foods, eggs, high quality meats. I've started to give up on beef, mainly for environment reasons, not really for myself. I love beef, but and just followed like chicken. I don't like seafood, so I don't really dabble too much in that. But something that's new for me that I love are kale chips. Making my own at home. I make my own kombucha as well, which is very cost effective. My own oat milk. I have a lot of inflammation through, I used to, ride dirt bikes and BMX and football, basketball, lacrosse. So a lot of aches and pains. So I don't have too much dairy. So I do oat milk and make that at home. So that's kind of like my MO. It's super fun, just for anyone listening that does have a family. It's really fun making it at home, and it's such a great opportunity to really build like family time. If you do have any kids as well, making your own food at home. I would love to have a farm as well. So that's kind of like my MO and my thing. I'd love for you to touch on how is it different, me being a male, you being a female, when it comes to our nutrition and how we're consuming it.
Yeah, so females are totally different people from one week to the next. Like our hormones are and we make jokes about this all the time, but it's true. Like, so, week 1 of a female cycle, she's got a totally different set of hormones than she does week 2 versus week 3 versus week 4. And so sometimes it's about working with that. But, as females, we are more fragile creatures and we tend to get stressed more. Just, our bodies physically get stressed more than a male's. So I can't tell you how many times intermittent fasting can work amazing for some men. In some females, it just doesn't really work for. Or going into a workout fasted, sometimes that's just too much stress for the female body. And when stress takes over and when it becomes too elevated and chronic, then all bets are off sometimes. It's like you could be doing everything right, But if you're not sleeping and if you're stressed out, then it doesn't really matter, right? So just what I've seen with the female body is we have to take into account the different hormone levels. So, this is very interesting to me, and lots of research shows that when a female is the week before her cycle starts, and estrogen is lower, you really don't have progress happen in the gym. Females don't build muscle very well, if at all, that week before. So what I like to do with my female clients is, if I know that we're going into that week, one, your energy is going to be, it's going to be like down in the dumps for many people,
Yeah.
which is not normal per se. And there are ways that you can really work with your hormones to prevent that or to minimize that. But for most people, their energy is pretty low that week. And the estrogen is very low, and estrogen is really essential, like I said, for muscle building. And so knowing that, we can do some more lighter intensity cardio that week, and then really focus on the muscle building and the weightlifting workouts the first through the third weeks, for example, of the cycle. So just knowing how to time the workouts, it can really make a big difference. Knowing that your body actually will have those cravings for the bad stuff like the week before, and making sure that going into that week, like you have some like healthy dessert options in the pantry, and that you're not surrounding yourself, like you mentioned, the dark chocolate, and you use monk fruit. I love monk fruit as well. I use stevia sometimes, and so sweetening that dark chocolate with stevia and maybe some strawberries, like having that available to you with maybe some almond or coconut milk, or like you said, oat milk or something like that. Having those options available when you know the cravings are about to hit can make a world of difference.
Totally. Something that's really cool too, and I'd love for you to touch and maybe elaborate a little bit more on this too, for those that are struggling with cravings, like I just can't stop, like I feel it, like how will implementing a nutritionally dense diet support them with those cravings?
You know what? So I realized something a couple of years ago. There would be times when I would be really hungry, right? And then I would, there's this electrolyte drink that sometimes I have, and it's sweetened with stevia, and it has like different vitamins, and it would like kill cravings for me. And so then I started looking into, sometimes hunger, well, when you're thirsty, sometimes you can mistake that for hunger, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And sometimes you actually just need some more nourishment and vitamins and minerals in your body. And that's really what your body is asking for. But, talking about cravings, something that I really like to get through people's head. People will have a day, they're trying to lose fat, for example. Oh, I ate 1,000 calories today. I'm losing weight. Okay, what did you really do? Sure, you're not going to gain weight the day you eat the 1,000 calories, but you're setting yourself up to gain weight when you severely restrict your calories. Your hunger hormones are about to rage, and they're about to tell you, I don't like that. And so when you pay attention, it's going to be a day later or 2 days later where you're going to be like, feed me. And you're like, why do I have these cravings? Oh, gee, maybe it's because you only ate 900, 1,000 calories a couple days ago, and this is your body's way of saying, hey, I don't like that. And so then you go on this roller coaster, restrict, overfeed, restrict, overfeed. So yeah, that's something where, and also sleep. So when you don't sleep, lots of research shows it really increases your ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes you hungry, suppresses your leptin, so you don't feel as satiated. So, I mean, there's so many different variables that when we are, proactive instead of reactive, we can really keep the cravings at bay.
I love that. And you also kind of touched on it earlier too. I also think, and I'd love for you to speak on this too. There's certain times of our lives where maybe, for me, I love intermittent fasting. I picked it up 3.5 years ago, mainly due to time. And I would never been much of a breakfast eater, and it worked very, very well. It works very, very well for me. Mm-hmm. However, right now, as I'm doing this summit, as I'm up to my coaching and all the different things I'm up to, I've actually decided not to do intermittent fasting I was doing it probably like 5-6 times a week, because I'm cognizant of that stress that I have too, and the extra exertion that my body's going through. So how important is that too, to also listen to your body when you're trying out these different meals?
Absolutely. I think that's really cool that you kind of noticed that about yourself and you're like, okay, now is not the season for that. But yeah, absolutely. You have to listen to your body. And so, like, as an example, I was like, let me give this whole ketosis thing a whirl. And, I actually did attempt it for a full 6 months. And at the end of the 6 months, I did not feel good at all and had some blood work done, and my levels were just pretty off. Now, with that being said, I don't go around saying ketosis is horrible. It didn't work for me. And this was, before ketosis even got big is when I did
Hmm.
it. And so researched more about it and then started realizing about the vital role that certain carbs play in the body, the micronutrient density of the carbohydrates. So if I hadn't listened to my body, I mean, who knows what I would still be doing, but absolutely. And sometimes for the people that are real hardcore about working out, like, I can be like that. But if you're exhausted, then I think it's more important to say, you know what? I didn't really sleep last night. This could put extra stress on my body. And I'm a fan of working harder, but I am also a
Yeah.
fan of working smarter, right? And
Hmm.
so sometimes it's one of those work smarter, not harder cases, where, okay, if I do this workout and my stress level is already up to here, is this just going to keep that cortisol chronically elevated and end up doing more harm than good? So sometimes it's a learning experience, like what can I do so I can actually get more sleep tonight and then have a good workout tomorrow. So absolutely, listening to your body is one of the best things, and over time you learn what that means.
Totally. And I would love for you to talk about sleep, because I think that's one of, other than water, I think water is a big thing that people miss out. About 90% of people are dehydrated, chronically dehydrated. So if you are getting the cravings, as Lindsay mentioned earlier, drink some water, see how that works. But I would love for you to speak maybe some things that you do for your sleep, and also how important it is for, especially if you're going to the gym and crushing it, for your body to actually recover and repair itself.
Right. Okay. I have become so passionate about this topic, because let's start with the fact that when we sleep is when our body is healing and recovering. So, feeding into what we just spoke about, listening to your body, sometimes a client will say, okay, should if I can only get my workout in, if I get up super early and only sleep like 3 or 4 or 5 hours, should I do that, or should I sleep and not work out? I say you should sleep and not work out, and you should try to plan, use that as a learning experience to plan your life accordingly so that you can sleep and find time for your workout. But so deep sleep is essential for so much in our body, from muscle building to fat burning. And the deep sleep is when our body is releasing growth hormone, which, like I said, I never took steroids, but the people that are taking steroids, they're taking HGH. And what is that? That is something that we can get when we sleep. Obviously, we're not going to get it in the same level that they're getting when they're, taking this exogenous hormone. But when you do take exogenous hormones, there's usually a consequence. So, how do you get more growth hormone, which is known as like the fountain of youth? It's what keeps you young and vibrant and full of energy. You get more deep sleep. Notice I didn't just say you get more sleep. You get more. I
Mm.
explain to people, it's not just, okay, I was in bed for 9 hours. What was the quality of your sleep? That's why I wear this guy religiously. And I will look, okay, and for the last 2 years, I've been experimenting. What can I do to get this deep sleep number up? When I first started tracking, I was getting like 40 minutes of deep sleep a night. It was not optimal. Optimally, you're getting closer to 2 hours, which the nights I get 2 hours of deep sleep, I wake up, I'm like, yes, I did it. Doesn't happen often. But on average now, I've probably doubled the amount of deep sleep that I'm getting from paying attention to things like light exposure before bed. So as soon as
Mm.
we're back here, because it's right now it's 5:30 here, so I will turn off these bright lights. I will get off my electronics, and if I do happen to use this guy, I will swipe up turn this brightness all the way down and then hold it in and turn it on night shift mode. And so the only time I really use my phone after, 8, 9 o'clock is if I'm calling my mom. So really that's the only time I'm using my phone after that. And that's helped tremendously. I also will pray before bed. I'll meditate. I'll listen to podcasts that are that will help with sleep. That has helped me so much because I'll tell you what, the mind keeps people up at night. There's their life stresses. We all have them. I don't care who you are. You could look like you have your life totally put together, but you have stress in your life. And that is what keeps people up at night. And so I listen to this one female preacher all the time, Joyce Myers. I listen to her all the time before bed. And she helps me so much to be able to just calm my mind, like, hey, it's going to be okay. And then I sleep better. The last thing I would say is, pay attention to what you're eating before bed. If you're just eating a meal of carbohydrates before bed, that tends to disrupt people's sleep because once the blood sugar comes up high and then it crashes back down and you're in your sleep and your blood sugar crashes, wakes you up. And so we have to pay attention to what we're eating before bed too. So hopefully that kind of helps and gives people some insight.
Definitely. And those carbs too, especially before bed, they always seem so perfect, just get the belly nice and full so you can fall asleep. But the deep sleep, there is that difference between, I got the 8 hours, but I don't feel like I got 8 hours. So yes, crucial. Last thing, since you do have your background with fitness and you are, a nutritional coach as well, what are some things before and after the gym that we can do meal-wise or snack-wise?
So this is the time when you want your carbs right here. So let's start with before you go to the gym. Some people can, and question for you, when you do intermittent fasting, do you work out fasted or do you work out with food?
I work out fasted. I just like it. I don't like anything in my stomach. Make sure I'm hydrated. And I do HIIT training too, so I try and get it over as quickly as possible.
Do you take amino acids or do you just kind of go in and just pure you?
I don't take amino acids, just pure me. I use cordyceps mushroom, rhodiola, reishi mushroom, beets, and I have a juice before.
Okay.
Something light that's not going to be too heavy on my stomach.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I find that for men that technique can work very well for them.
What would be with amino acids? I'd love for you to touch on that.
Yeah, so amino acids, the building blocks of protein. I do find, and this is something maybe you could experiment with this and see if you notice a difference. So the higher the intensity of the workout is, the more your body will use glucose for fuel. Mm-hmm. And so now everyone is different, right? We all have our individuality, but the more intense, the more glucose your body needs for fuel. Your body can produce energy using 3 different pathways. The 2 of them are the anaerobic and 1 is the aerobic. So the anaerobic pathways are the ones that your body can actually produce energy with for those quick hit bursts, right? And those, so your body for one of them uses creatine, the other one uses glucose. And so where I'm going with this is if you're performing very intense activity, mm-hmm. and your body needs glucose, and if you haven't eaten carbohydrates, which get broken down into glucose, unless it's fructose is a different story. But glucose-based carbs would be like, sweet potatoes, quinoa, bananas, like I mentioned, really like pasta, even though I don't really recommend pasta, but I'm just giving examples of glucose-based carbs.
Kiwi pasta.
What's that?
Quinoa pasta.
Quinoa pasta, yes. So if you don't have glucose in your system, your body is really good at breaking down its muscle tissue and converting that into glucose. More specifically, your body can convert amino acids into glucose. So sometimes for people going into a workout fasted, especially if their stress is too high, because that puts you in more of a catabolic muscle breakdown state, then your body can attack its own muscle tissue and convert that into glucose or energy the more the intense activity. Now, lower intensity activities is when your body will use more fat for fuel. So if you're going in and like walking, I mean, you're really not at a super high risk of losing a ton of muscle if you're fasted. But if you are fasted, and everyone is different, but some people are at a very high risk of losing muscle tissue going into a workout fasted and with no amino acids in their system. So that's just something where, like, you know, it would be a cool experiment maybe to do.
Totally,
Have you ever heard anything along those lines?
With BCAAs? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I have, and I actually bought some, and it was just me not taking it, you know, and being cognizant of it, not understanding it like the way you just explained it. So that will definitely be an experiment I'll be trying out. So
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I would love to hear how it works. Yeah, I feel like for the experiment to work, you would want to, like, maybe for being you haven't done that yet, maybe when you do go back into your intermittent fasting, when things aren't as crazy, to try giving it like a full month and see if you notice the things that I would suspect you might notice is you might see some more muscle, if that's even a goal of yours. Is that a goal of yours? Like more muscle?
I've definitely, so it's funny that you mentioned that. I've definitely seen my muscle. I mean, I'm not playing sports like I was in high school and working out like I was in college. I've been going more into functional kind of exercise. So I have seen less muscle, but that also could be with the intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So,
you ready? Okay. So it would be cool just to see what changes happen. Like if you took a month and the only variable was now you're taking some amino acids prior to your workout, and do you actually see that your body retains more muscle? That's what I would suspect would happen. Because, you know, sometimes we might be doing something and it's getting us a great result. And then sometimes we make one little tweak and it gives us an even better result. But
yeah,
you don't know until you try.
totally. Yeah. It's awesome when you try these little things too. That's how I found magnesium, MSM sulfur for my joints and ligaments was amazing. I couldn't believe how much better my yoga and my flexibility got from taking that. So we got BCAAs or amino acids before an exercise. What else would be good and what would be good post?
Right. So what I like to focus on pre and post workout is protein and carbohydrate. One of the best times that you could have carbohydrates, I would say, would be pre and post workout. Because let's start with the pre-workout. So if you're doing something intense, then unless you're doing it fasted, and especially if you're doing a lower intensity exercise, I think doing a lower intensity fasted exercise could have a lot of benefits. But if you're doing something really intense, then I recommend carbohydrates in the protein for a similar reason that I just explained. The more intense, the more glucose your body uses. If you have more fuel for your workout, then you will actually be able to build more muscle and therefore burn more fat, and you'll just feel overall stronger. And then the protein to protect the muscles, so similar reasons. And I also recommend minimizing the fat in the meal before the workout so you don't go in super full and trying to digest. Now, of course, like if you're going to be eating 4 hours before you work out, that doesn't really matter as much. But fat and fiber too take longer to digest. So if you are eating an hour or maybe even up to 2 hours before your workout and you're eating a steak and broccoli, you're probably not going to feel so hot during that workout because your body's digesting it. But post-workout, I also usually recommend to, not eat tons of fat. I prefer that people focus their macros on the carb and the protein post-workout. That does slow down the digestion of things, and you kind of want things to get absorbed as quickly as possible. But I think the most important thing here is that we're replenishing what we just tore down. And this is the one time where if you are going to spike your blood sugar and spike your insulin, it can be beneficial post-workout because insulin is a transport hormone that shuttles things into the cells. So we want those amino acids to go into our muscles to start rebuilding. We want the vitamins and minerals to help to start, healing and nourishing the body post-workout when you depleted everything. So carbohydrates and protein post-workout, but protein especially post-workout has been shown just to really allow people to get the most bang for their buck, so to speak, out of the workout. And then is there one more? I feel like there was one more thing that I thought was important for post-workout. Something that's, a little fun fact, not all protein is created equal. What we find is that leucine is a specific amino acid. All protein is comprised of amino acids. There are multiple different amino acids, and leucine specifically is a very well-researched amino acid that's very good for muscle building. And so they find that higher concentrations of leucine amino acids post-workout can really, really make a significant difference in the results that you get from the gym. So this is why it can be more difficult being a vegan or vegetarian to build muscle. Not saying it's bad to be a vegan or vegetarian, just keep in mind it may be suboptimal for muscle building if muscle building is your goal. Now, if health is your goal, then that's a different story, right? So we got to say like, okay, well, what is the primary goal? So egg whites, chicken, they have higher leucine contents.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's crucially important, especially if you are looking to get, you just went to the gym, right? So you want to get your best bang for your buck. So that is really important. I didn't know that about leucine, so I'm definitely going to look into that. Yeah. So you've dropped so many nuggets and given so many good little tips and tricks, from sleep to eating what's real to pre and post workout. Where can these viewers and listeners find you, and also share a little bit more about that free gift that you're offering them?
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for allowing us to offer this free gift. So after, I would get asked multiple fitness and nutrition related questions, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a private Facebook group, and I am going to answer people's questions for free on this Facebook group. And so every Monday, I will post a poll on this group with some of the questions that I was asked from, people that I see in my everyday life, or strangers that are members of the page. And I will put them on a poll on the page, and people can vote from Monday through Thursday. And then whatever question received the most votes, that's the question that I address in a Facebook Live video on Thursdays. It usually happens around 4:30 Central on Thursdays, but it just depends on client TV schedule that day, and what else is going on in my life, my school. So it depends on what's going on with all that. But that's essentially what the free gift is the ability to be part of this. It's called Fit Chicks. So I love working with women. I work with a lot of men too, but I love working with women. And so it's a Fit Chicks page. There are men on the page, and I just call them, hey, you're my Fit Chicks too now. So, yeah, you can join that group, and that way you can ask me questions that you have, ask me what you're struggling with, and I can shed some light on it on a Thursday Facebook Live video.
Awesome. That is huge. That's like having your own personal trainer in your pocket or on your desktop for, just depends on whatever you're using. Where can, other than your Fit Chicks Facebook group, where can people find you?
Instagram, Lindsey Day Fitness, and Lindsey is spelled with an E, Lindsey, DayFitness. Also Facebook, my Facebook fan page is Lindsey Day Fitness. And I do have a YouTube channel, Lindsey Day Fitness, to see where we're going with this. And if anyone is in the Houston area, they can tune in to CW39. I'm on there filling in for meteorology from time to time, but I also do a fitness segment every Friday. So on the CW39.com website, is CW39.com. There's a section, a Fitness Friday tab, where they post all of my segments that I do, but there's tons of different workout ideas on those segments, at-home workouts. One of the ones I did recently was the 5 most misused and abused gym, what did I do? Gym machines or gym workouts, something like that. So yeah, I have all kinds of workout stuff there as well.
Nice. I love it. I hope you have some of the really funny videos that are online about people using the different workout equipment. because there's some funny ones. I know I've fallen victim to that too, trying to figure it out the first couple of times. So that would be really supportive, because I know.
That was the inspiration for the segment. And so I was working with the photographer and I was like, hey, and I showed him some of the gym fail videos. I was like, can you please edit this into the segment? But there's copyright stuff. And so he wasn't able to edit them in, but man, I was dying laughing. We just Googled gym fail videos and there are some phenomenal ones out there.
There's some good ones. I've definitely seen them. Well, thank you so much for making time and just delivering and delivering and delivering. You're such an incredible giver, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your story. And I'm really excited for all these viewers and listeners not only to watch this, but just connect with you further and learn more about how they can be fit chicks or men.
Yeah, or fit dudes too.
Fit
but
dudes.
Justin, I appreciate it. It's really awesome that you're doing this.
Thank you very much. Well, take care and have a great rest of your evening.
Same to you.
See ya.